Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. I'm your host, DZ. This is Around the Blockchain. We come to you every day at 5:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, giving you your best topics in the crypto space with your favorite guests. And today is going to be a really good one. That's right. We have, back by popular demand, MacandCheeasy. Make sure you check out his new normal podcast. We also have our head writer, Nick Demondi, with the nice big B in the background. We also have CryptoJebb, self-proclaimed Bitcoin fanatic. And we told you he'd be back. He wasn't in the basement. It's Ben, that's right, back by popular demand. He didn't go anywhere, folks. He didn't go anywhere. He was just busy. He had some leadership conferences. You know, he had to spread the word. He had to spread the gospel.
DZ, listen, here's the question. Why did you crash the prices today?
It was all me. It was all me.
For one day. One day. You had one job, DZ. One job.
I did good last time, so 2 out of 3. You know, that's not half bad. I blame CryptoFace. It wasn't my fault, okay? It wasn't my fault. That I promise you. All right, it's going to be a great show. The way it works, if you like what the people are saying, give them a little +1 in the chat. Whoever has the most points at the end gets to give the people a little parting thought there. We have some great topics today. We have Audius partnering with TikTok. We also have Coinbase. Just keeps on growing and growing and growing. And will gaming bring mass Bitcoin adoption? But first, let's check out the market watch. As been alluded to, it's not been the best day. It looks like it's starting to take a little bit of a tumble. Right now, ETH's down about 3%. It's still holding support at 3,000. Looks like 3,062. Bitcoin still above 44, but it did fall below 45. It's down 2.5%. If we look at some of the major gainers, Helium, Avalanche, Audius is cooled down a little bit. It was up a significant portion, but most of its gains were yesterday. So on the 24, it's only up 12, but up 100% on the 7-day there. If we look at some of the losers, FTX starting to take a little bit of a dive. EOS, IOTA. Looks like VeChain was also down about 7% at one point. Might be a good time to scoop up a little cheap VeChain. Axie was up 8%. FTX. So it's been a little bit all over the place. There's some good, some bad, but it'll be all right. You know, Jebb, I'm going to bring it to you real quick. What are the markets telling you? Do you think this is something we should be worried about, or is this just a little short-term correction?
I think we should be excited. I'm seeing short-term bearish technicals. I'm seeing medium-term bullish fundamentals and technicals and on-chain metrics. And obviously, as always, long-term bullish technicals, bullish fundamentals, and bullish on-chain metrics. Short-term, I'm looking at the RSI divergence that we're seeing show up on Bitcoin and Ethereum. It is bearish, and it does indicate that we're probably going to pull back another 5 to 10%. We talked about in our morning show between myself and my co-host Tim, we talked about how there was probably going to be a dip down into the mid-40s, maybe down to around $42,000, $43,000. We could, in fact, pull all the way back down as far as $37,500, in my opinion, and we would still be bullish because that's a local low that we set just a couple of days ago, about 2 weeks ago, actually. So if we stay above that, then we're still setting higher highs and higher lows. However, the technicals are saying in the next 7 days, we're probably going to see some more consolidation. But the on-chain metrics, such as outflows from exchanges, meaning that people are hodling more often, do line up with times in past where we've seen massive explosive movements like October of last year and April of last year as well. So short term, next 7 to 14 days, sideways and bearish. Medium term, which means the next 2 weeks to the next 3 months, I would say is still looking pretty bullish.
All right, so this guy, he's only going to hang out for a little bit, right? Like, we're not going to see him that long. So get out of here. Oh, man, if I would have knocked down that camera, that would have been really bad. Then Ben would really have reason to be upset with me. All right, well, let's get right into our first topic here. Audius partnering with TikTok. Mac, you're a TikTok phenomenon. You're all over the place. So it's the first streaming platform to work with TikTok. So it's beating Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, some of these other, larger established ecosystems or audio, streaming platforms. Do you think that Audius being small is what led to it jumping in first? Do you think the other ones are just maybe too big, too many lawyers, too many moving parts? Will they ever partner with TikTok, you think?
Yeah, so regarding them partnering with TikTok, I think there's 2 things to consider here, right? Because a partnership, there's 2 sides to it. So from the TikTok lens as well as from the Audius lens. So from the Audius lens, they're empowering creators. That's their whole investment thesis, and that's how they're driving creators and song producers to come to their platform. So from their eyes, they're like, how can we enable our creators enough that people want to use this platform? So one of those ways is to actually have this link so that, hey, come to our platform, you can get on TikTok with a click of a, whereas Spotify, they want to generate revenue by getting these streams and keeping people on their platform itself. So how Audius is trying to do it is basically using a user-centric way to do it. And this is interesting because for them, it is humongous, because now all of a sudden they're working with TikTok and they have click distribution, and they get, I like to call it the sawdust, but effectively you're able to get the sawdust of taking this song and then distributing it to TikTok. Now, from the TikTok side of it, why did they partner with Audius versus Spotify, Apple Music? And I think you alluded to it. Potentially size, and potentially it's interesting because they recently have been cracking down on crypto. So it's like, okay, now we're going to partner with a crypto specific company. So I think if you were to follow the money and if you're in the boardroom meetings, we saw the 100% pump in Audius over the past 7 days. I got a feeling that there were conversations between them and Audius that goes a little bit just enabling an API so that Audius can then stream their songs there. I think there's probably a little bit more to it, and they're probably so I'm excited from it. I'm excited from it from a creator perspective on TikTok.
All right. Almost sound like you have some wheels of steel there on your audio there. Yeah, there's a little bit of some short-term, like, little spikes. So, yeah, I'd be very surprised if that wasn't a little insider information there. So we're looking, you know, you brought up artists, and that's one of the main things they have going for it. They are artist-centric. We're looking at some of the artists. They have Skrillex, Weezer, Deadmau5, Russ, Diplo, you know, some pretty big names. But, you know, by no means does it have all the artists on the, you know, in music. So, Nick, do you think their biggest hurdle is going to be getting, you know, the Taylor Swifts, the Lil Waynes, or is it going to be people downloading their app? What do you think their biggest problem is going to be?
Well, their biggest problem is going to be headwinds from the music industry as a whole. And, you know, I don't want to like poo-poo on having, you know, Deadmau5 and Skrillex involved, but, you know, let's just be honest, they haven't been, you know, prime movers in the music space for quite a while now. But it's really the partnership with TikTok. It's the externalities that you have to consider, because TikTok, it's not a mistake that they increased their recording time to, I think, 6 minutes just recently. Yeah. And they've been, they're really well known for doing live videos now. So live video is the next frontier. It's where everyone's making money in the future. And so TikTok is coming straight for Twitch. They're coming straight for YouTube, and they want to do this live music thing better than anyone else. So if they can get their messaging right with the artists, they need a get. Okay, the TikTok for Audius is the get, but it's not the thing that's going to make Audius really rip. They need that big time partnership with a big time producer, not just an artist. Like, it would be great if Billie Eilish got on there, but we need like a big mover producer to get into this thing, preferably someone who's a maverick, who's kind of outside of the music industry system. But like just like for straight up token price perspective, TikTok is valued right now at $250 billion. And Audius's market cap is 1.2 billion. So if they even, and like TikTok hasn't even really gotten into other markets yet. Like they're still on the cell phone. They're still, you know, pretty limited, but they're incredibly important to that market, and they know it, and they're going to be moving. And so if Audius even starts to touch that level of market cap, we're looking at hundreds of X from the current Audius token price. So,
all right. So maybe
for Audius.
Yeah. So I mean, it definitely had a crazy run up, but you're saying there could be a little bit more room. So we need more producers, like a Manny Fresh or like a Timbaland or a Swiss Beats. Now, Ben, you actually have the highest amount of TikTok followers here, I believe, certainly more than my paltry 15K. Are music platforms, the streaming platforms specifically, are they going to be first on the chopping block to get replaced by decentralized apps, you think?
No, I don't think so. I think we're a ways from that. I think what we're seeing right now is the very beginning of the transition between centralized platforms to decentralized platforms with music. Kind of like we saw last year. We saw, NFTs have been around for a while, but really last year, starting around the beginning of the summer to the midsummer, we saw the transition of moving away from digital collectibles that are not on blockchain into NFTs, digital collectibles on blockchain. And it's taken a while for those to really get their footing. Look back at gaming coins. The same thing with gaming coins. It took years for these to really get in the public eye. Look at DeFi. DeFi really started towards the tail end of 2018, and then all throughout 2019, it was gaining a little bit of traction, but it wasn't really until early 2020 that DeFi started blowing up. So it's a transition. This is another one of those spaces where I think that we're just seeing the very beginning. We're scratching the surface of this. I know we're talking with some different musicians about doing some NFT stuff. We're talking about doing an NFT concert with a few people. So there are plenty of people that we're in talks with, but I will tell you, people know I love Tom McDonald. Tom McDonald's like my favorite rapper, and he's been on the show before. I love Tom.
Tight.
I can't say enough good stuff about what he does. And he's a voice that I believe is needed in music and really just in this woke culture that we have. And one of the things I love about him is he backs up everything he says. He is a totally independent artist. He shoots, him and his girlfriend Nova, they shoot all of their music videos in their house, or they go on location. They don't have any help. You watch these music videos and they're very professionally produced. And then you see the behind the scenes of the way they create them. You're like, man, I can't believe that just two people do all this stuff. He does everything independent, so he doesn't have to get the middlemen to jump in. And that's a message that is resonating with people across the world. We don't have to, have this archaic way of doing entertainment to where everybody's getting a piece of the artist. The artist can actually get their own cut. I think that moving towards these audio NFTs is definitely going to be a way that, these artists can make money, but not just in the short term, because they can actually get a percentage of resales on the secondary market. They can also kind of act as residuals as well. So I think this is just a big step for the independent artists in music, which, look, we don't need the archaic infrastructure of, Hollywood or, whatever the equivalent to Hollywood is in the music industry. Nick probably knows.
Yeah, long funnel of everybody basically taking a piece of the pie. And I'm glad that you brought up NFTs. That brings me on my last question on this topic is, Jebb, can you ever see NFTs replacing traditional record sales, where if you hold this NFT, you get to stream the album for free and maybe even get like a little bit of merch or, profit sharing depending on the NFT? Will that ever replace, or will this always be a niche market?
Well, I think that the same thing that we've seen in visual medium, so art and other collectibles, like Jack Dorsey's first tweet, how the decentralized ability to retain the value of something that has a limited supply on the internet was an issue that Bitcoin, blockchain technology, and now NFTs revolutionized. I think we're going to see the same thing happen in music. I think we're absolutely, like Ben was saying, going to see audio on NFTs. It's the next logical application of using the limited supply nature of NFTs. NFT literally means non-fungible token. It is a way of limiting the supply of something and making it irreplaceable. I can speak. What we're probably going to see is the same thing happening. Now, what I'm really interested in is what this means for audience, as Nick was talking about. TikTok right now, he stole my statistic. I was going to use a $250 billion one, but that's okay. I'll forgive you for that one. Facebook is worth $1 trillion. TikTok is worth $250 billion. We're probably going to see that switch. Facebook obviously has Instagram. Instagram is much more appealing to the younger demographic, but Facebook is aging. It's been around for 15 years. A lot of the people on Facebook are now in their 30s and 40s, and Facebook themselves, that platform, is realizing, wait a second, we got to catch up. We're falling behind, so they're investing heavily in Instagram. The battle right now for social media apps is between TikTok and Instagram. And I was saying the same thing on e-commerce. The e-commerce battle is between Walmart and Amazon. I've been saying this for 2 or 3 weeks now. Amazon, Walmart, both now have job postings for cryptocurrency leads. If one of them thinks, oh, I can use decentralized technology to get a lead over my competitor, they're going to adopt it in whichever way is beneficial to them. We're going to see the same thing happen here. If TikTok thinks that audience is going to help benefit their competition against Instagram, but also Twitch and YouTube, they're going to do it. We've already seen it. We're going to see more adoption driving into cryptocurrency in general. So yeah, I absolutely think we're going to see exactly what you asked. We're going to see audio moving in the direction of NFTs. It's going to massively expedite and smoothen out and simplify the current record label industry. And I think it's going to be very, very good for creators around the world.
Yeah, I'm actually in that age group, and last time I looked at Facebook, it was in the office for an NFT thing, and it was just talismans of misery, nothing, like all nonstop, just from my high school graduating class. And I haven't used Facebook in forever, no regrets. I'd rather almost open up a MySpace. Before we get to Coinbase, I'm gonna ask everybody a rapid fire question. So Audius, it's been around $1.50 to $4. It was $4 just not even that long ago. Right now, around $2.90. Nick, I believe I know how you're going to answer. We're going to start with you, go around in a circle. Are we bearish or bullish on $2.90? Going up or lower, you think?
I'm bearish for the short term, but very bullish for the long term. I think it's got to pull back a little bit just because it's had, 100% up. So it's going to come back a little bit.
All right. MacandCheeasy, bearish or bullish on $2.90?
I think we're going to see some slight pullback, and I would like to see how it properly integrates with TikTok. From just a user perspective, but I think short term, slightly bearish. It's on the right path.
Okay, Ben, bearish or bullish? $2.90.
Bullish to the moon. It's now in the public eye. It's in the public space. TikTok is about to get exposed to this. I think we're nearing the end of this Bitcoin pullback here in the next day. I think we'll be back on the way back up. And once that happens, that will provide more upside for Audius to run. And now it is, you know what Audius reminds me of? It reminds me of Theta. Yeah. Once it got in the public eye and people understood what it was, it just ain't stopped. And I think this is another one similar to that.
Theta's one of those coins you consistently saw, whether top gainers or top losers in the top 100. It was always like in the top 5. Mm-hmm. Last but not least, Jebb, $2.90. Bearish or bullish?
It needs to correct. It's quadrupled in the last 2 months, but for the reason that we've all said, it partnering with TikTok, which is a quarter trillion right now, probably going to $1 trillion market capitalization. I think the long-term upside of this cryptocurrency project is massive, to the moon, but we got to stop for gas first.
Yeah. We gotta, fill up the tires, get a little pit stop. Yep. I'm basically on board with most of y'all. I think it's shot up way too quickly. It's going to come down a little bit, but yeah, long term, I see it being a very, very big company. All right, well, let's talk about Coinbase here. Coinbase just keeps on growing and growing and growing. So we had a recent bank. You got to love this name, Bank of America Merrill Lynch. I don't know how they allowed those two companies to merge, but they just started covering Coinbase stock. There's a lot of what happens in Wall Street. You'll have a lot of the big banks. They'll cover a stock and they'll say, oh, here's where our target is. Here's where we think it should be. So currently Coinbase is around $250 even. Bank of America, they gave it a neutral rating and a $273 target, but there's targets all over the place. The analysts have it from $2 or $210 to $440. So I mean, there's definitely some people seeing a huge upside for Coinbase here. MacandCheeasy, do you think Coinbase could ever be the Amazon of crypto? Is that possible?
I thought that terminology that Ben Armstrong used was a very interesting choice of words. So they wanted to be the Amazon of crypto assets, I think is the quote. And now it's funny because Amazon, they started, right? And they just wanted to sell books. That was how they started. They sold books. And then what happened from there? They started getting into grocery stores. They got into AWS, which is potentially their biggest arm of their actual business. And they're basically running the internet without anybody even knowing it. So Amazon slowly engulfed everything in this space. So now Coinbase, they're the market leader in terms of a centralized entity in the actual crypto realm. And they're trying to be the quote unquote Amazon of crypto assets. I don't think that's where it's going to stop.
Yeah.
Why would it stop there? Part of their issue is the majority of their actual revenue is driven by trading and buying and selling these crypto assets. So by them trying to diversify into other realms, so let's say staking, lending protocols, they're slowly building out their business. And when they get into these lending and these different side businesses, or which potentially become their main business, they're going to continue to look to expand. So these products like Audius, they might start getting engulfed by Coinbase, and now they're basically the Amazon of the crypto realm. And from a user perspective, and from somebody who truly believes in decentralization, I think Coinbase becoming the Amazon of the crypto world is somewhat of a concern, especially as a lot of these actual tokens and these platforms go to something like proof of stake, where the holder of the actual coins is incentivized and they're rewarded accordingly. If people store, and naturally people are going to use a centralized entity to custody their own coins. That's just where most retail investors will use it. If they're storing their coins on Coinbase, now all of a sudden they effectively secure these other networks and they're becoming the central entity, and it's centralizing crypto as a whole. So I think Coinbase will become an Amazon entity and truly branch out and be a lot more than what we see today. However, from the crypto ethos, I'm slightly concerned.
All right, yeah, I actually have the quote here. Brian Armstrong, this was last week during their Q2 2021 earnings call. Those who don't know, every 3 months, 4 times a year, they'll do a quarterly earnings call where the CEO sometimes, or, you know, be a CFO, an executive will basically outline their future, outline the previous quarter's performance. And he said, we want to be the Amazon of assets. List every asset out there in crypto that's legal. There are thousands of them today. There are eventually going to be millions of them. So they want to cover all of these assets. Nick, is it possible for Coinbase to keep up with all the ICOs and the IPOs coming out? IDOs, sorry.
I mean, it's possible for them to just list it on Coinbase. Yeah. Is it good for their brand? Is it good for crypto? Is it going to make them run afoul of the government? Yeah, that all remains to be seen. I think they're running into the problem of overextending themselves. I know they want to be the Amazon of crypto, but if they're not careful, they may end up becoming the Netscape of crypto, like extremely dominant in the beginning, but then they pull back and they make a couple missteps, and then now they're just a footnote. So I know that they have a huge amount of backing behind them, far more than we could grasp with 100% of our brains. But just because you have all the backing doesn't mean that, you know, you don't have enemies that are just as big. So the future for Coinbase, in my mind, with that goal in mind, if that's their actual goal, that's not a great goal to have, because that's way too broad, in my opinion.
Okay. Ben, he's saying, you know, maybe they're branching out a little too far. Can you see Coinbase competing with the Fang stocks, you know, 5 years from now?
Listen here, Uncle Brian, you need to calm down over there. Uncle Brian needs to calm down at Coinbase. Listen, I've actually had this conversation before, and, you know, they can't actually be a Fang stock, because if a lot of people don't know this, all of the Fang stocks are software companies. Their main business is software. So Coinbase doesn't actually fit into that, which I was surprised to know, because I didn't even think about, you know, I mean, everybody knows Amazon Web Services, but I mean, you don't even think about Netflix or Facebook in that way, but that's their main business. So, you know, for Coinbase, they would have to create a new division of their business to really get up there with the Fang stocks. Now, that's why Tesla isn't included in the Fang stocks. It would be Fangs, but anyways, I digress.
To Fang.
To Fang. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
To Fang. I like it. But so that's why Tesla's not included, but Coinbase can certainly get in the air of that group, kind of like Tesla is. I do look for Coinbase to be a significant player, and I do think, look, Financial Cartel is behind. Like, what, you think Zuckerberg was just... You think he just had this great idea for Facebook and now he's a quadzillionaire? No. Financial Cartel is behind Facebook too. Don't get any of that confused. Financial Cartel is behind Elon Musk. Some of these people are chosen. So Coinbase is chosen. They are the chosen one. USDC, even though it's on Coinbase, it's a Coinbase dollar, but it's owned by Circle, which is owned by Goldman Sachs, yada, yada, yada. It's all the chosen group. And so that's why we're seeing so much pushback against Binance. They're trying to shove Binance down. They're trying to shove Tether down because they're trying to elevate Coinbase. So yes, it will be in the same breadth of the type of stock as the Fang stocks and Tesla, but it won't technically be a Fang stock, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It is it is going to be the Amazon of crypto. There's no question about it in my mind.
But not one of the Fangs. Yeah, I mean, so it can still
you know, I would say
puncture.
I will say this, DZ, and I do. My name is on the channel, so I'm going to speak over you right now, just so you know.
I mean, I guess if anyone can, it's you.
Okay. But here's what I'll say. I believe that eventually Coinbase will develop that other arm of their business because they are chosen by the financial cartel, that they will own more things and do more things than just crypto. So I think ultimately there is a chance it does get in with the Fang Stocks, and we'll call it Kafang.
Yeah, I mean, and all of, like even Apple has a little hardware, and Amazon, has their web services. So, I mean, there is a little bit of that. So speaking of that, so they do want to branch out. Analysts are saying, so some of the Bank of America, Merrill Lynch analysts, they're looking at it. They're saying they should go into staking. They can go into a subscription service of some sort. They can go into loaning. So there's all these different possible avenues, that they can branch off into. CryptoJebb, do you see that maybe that they will start diversifying? And if they do, will it be too much diversification too soon? Kind of like a Yahoo even?
They're going to make so much freaking money off of their loaning service. I actually just used it yesterday, and we did it. You use cryptocurrency, so Bitcoin as your collateral. You can take out a loan up to 40% off of it, and then we did that just to see how it works. And that right there is going to make them so much money, because the entire reason the banks were founded in the first place was so that you could have custody. What does Coinbase do? It allows you to have custody. What does the other part of the bank do? They use that custodied money to loan back out to people for investment capital, or for us, just because it's interesting. But that's what a bank does. The whole point, Coinbase, make no mistake, guys, Coinbase is just a glorified bank. That's all they are. They are a glorified bank because they take custody of your cryptocurrency, use it, and loan it out to someone else who's going to pay them interest. That's all it is. Coinbase right now is going to make $1 trillion company on the fact that they're a crypto bank alone. Forget about them even working in staking. Forget about all the other stuff. They're going to do that. Absolutely, they're going to become the Amazon of crypto. And by the way, if they don't become the Amazon of crypto, BlockFi is probably going to become the Amazon of crypto. If Coinbase goes the way of, if they go the way of Netscape and Yahoo and all these companies that failed during the tech rush during the 2010s, someone is going to come in, take the exact same business model, and make a massive amount of money off of it. MySpace failed. Social media applications did not fail. The industry of social media exploded. The company failed. The concept didn't. The concept of having a crypto, essentially a bank, and leading to MacNCheeasy's concern, that's actually a very big concern, because didn't we found cryptocurrency to get away from the central banks? Didn't we found cryptocurrency so we could take our own custody? Didn't we found cryptocurrency so we could take our own financial destiny into our own hands and not have to rely on essential institutions like Coinbase? Look, I like Coinbase. I have no problem with Coinbase, but I echo the same concern. What happens when they go to $1 trillion market cap, as I'm almost certain they will, and they're worth all of that money, and they hold 20% of cryptocurrency, and they have the ability to buy a ton of miners and step into that space and start running 15, 20% of the mining. What happens when that amount of centralization occurs? Because I think it's inevitable. It might not be Coinbase. It might be BlockFi. It might be another company. It's coming, and we as an industry need to be aware of it and ready for it, and we need to have a plan for what happens if it becomes a threat.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of centralization, it could be a double-edged sword. When it comes to on-ramping customers, a fiat on-ramp, off-ramp, yeah, it's going to be huge. You want to be able to trust the company. But when it comes to adding new coins, it's going to be tough. I mean, they just can't keep up with like a Uniswap or something. So it'll be interesting to watch how Coinbase does grow. Similar to, Google. I mean, I remember when they bought YouTube. I remember when they first introduced Maps. I was using Ask Jeeves. I had AOL discs. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch them in the future. But and speaking on MySpace and Facebook, sometimes it's not the right product. You got to be there at the right time. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We'll have to keep a close eye. But we're running out of time here. Let's make sure we get to the third topic here. Will gaming bring mass crypto adoption? I was going to say, we got a little Madden 22. I was hoping for like an old school, like 94, specifically for Ben. I know he probably isn't going to be playing Madden 22. He probably played Madden 92, although they didn't have it then. He would have if they did.
Well, they didn't have a cover athlete back then. It was just John Madden on the cover. I think, maybe 98 was the first one they had somebody on, I think.
Is the cover curse still alive, Ben? Is that still a thing? I know it was.
Cover curse has been killed for a while. It happens. It happens sometimes still, but last year wasn't Brady on last year?
It only happens when it happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it kind of like in the beginning, it happened very, very frequently. So obviously, I remember when it happened to Mike Vick, that was the worst thing ever. Because
it only happens when it happens, like when Bulls say it goes up or Bears say it goes down. Hey, it happens when it happens. Ben, I want to ask you a specific question because we've talked about the metaverses and gaming. And I know you're not the biggest fan. You do have some kids that you like to play with, but you do like the Oculus. You like it with training. Would you ever consider watching an away game of, say, the Falcons if you had a really good VR experience and say you're sitting like on the front row or even on the bench with the players? Would you then maybe consider, getting in a metaverse if you got to watch a game live like that?
Would just go to the game live.
What if it's away? That's why I said away games.
If I want to go to an away game, I'll go to an away game. I do every
All
year.
right. Well, what if Alaska has a team, Ben?
Oh, well, if Alaska has a team, then I'll put on, I'll put on, what do they call those hats? What do they call the hats?
BJ probably knows.
BJ
they're called.
Sure. Yeah, I'll put on my Alaskan hat. I'll put on my bear fur, and I'll go up there. Look, I don't want to watch a game in VR. Why? Look, there's already a thing where some people struggle even wanting to go to a game because the in-home viewing experience on your regular TV is so great. So I just don't think there's any real big advantage of putting a VR headset and watching a football game. I think there are other cool things with it. I think the metaverse stuff is cool. And look, I know it's coming, and I'm interested in it to a certain level. I don't want us to all end up like in the Matrix or Wall-E, but I think that may be the case. I hope it's
that's
Ready
the trend
Player
we're heading
One
on.
without the dystopian stuff. Would be fun, but I just don't see the appeal of watching concerts, and maybe I'm just old. Maybe I don't know, but I don't see the appeal of watching these in VR. I mean, I would just. Like an hour-long concert with a VR headset, it sounds like it'd give me a headache. So I don't know. What do y'all think? I'm curious.
I agree.
One song. I'll watch
Not
one
for
song.
me.
Sounds great, but not a
Okay.
whole
I
song.
agree with you.
Here's the proof of that thesis, Ben. Look at what happened to Lollapalooza in Chicago. There was like 60,000 Gen Zs there because they were so sick and tired of being stuck in their house through all of 2020.
Yeah.
They were packed in Lollapalooza. So
There's nothing quite like going to a concert. That's some of the best energy, some of the most fun that you'll really ever experience. And I think the same can be said for sporting events. And I don't think VR is going to replace that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. But we're looking at some of the game statistics right now. It says about 2.7 billion people consider themselves gamers. I mean, we can't help but notice that there's definitely a big overlap between gaming and crypto. They call it like a swollen Venn diagram. There's certainly like it's two circles pretty close on top of each other. The ecosystem, I mean, it attracts the same type of people. I mean, if you look at the demographics, I mean, there's a lot of overlap there. Nick, would you say that the world is ever going to slow down with its gaming obsession? I mean, you have a kid on the way. I mean, is just more and more people going to start gaming, or will they eventually like snap back and want to start maybe experience nature more? Is this just a trend that's going to continue, you think?
First of all, I got to say happy birthday to John Gruden, coach of the best team in the NFL. He's 58 years old. And we're going to win the Super Bowl. So,
well, what about Mark Davis? What about Mark Davis? Are you a fan of Mark Davis and his haircut?
Well, look, I love everybody with the Raiders, and I don't judge when it comes to them having poor fashion sense. So I can't do it because I look like a homeless person. So, so as far as gaming comes, I think, when it comes to sports and gaming and crypto, I think, you're going to see a lot of people, there's not going to be any more virtual currency. There's not going to be any more V-Bucks 5 years from now. And if they are, they're not going to be a virtual currency. They're going to be a cryptocurrency. And having ownership across the metaverse is absolutely going to take hold. And it will take hold in sports games, since we're kind of on the sports subject right now. Yes. I mean, look.
Yeah, let's bring that picture up. Wow.
That's alpha. Okay, look, that is alpha.
That's a good cut.
To the max. You don't give a crap about anything or anyone if you wear your hair. That's a dangerous man right there. That's a dangerous.
That is a dangerous man.
Yeah, it's up there with the Tweety shirt, right?
Anyways, let me just make my point here. Virtual experiences where there's a human connection, those are never going to be replaced, and you're foolish to think that a VR headset is going to take the place of seeing Tame Impala in concert. Never going to happen. But if you were to tell 11-year-old Nick, hey man, you could put on a headset and you could play Skyrim in VR, I would love that if it was 11-year-old Nick. So there are definitely virtual world experiences that are going to take off like you do not understand. And that is going to synthesize with esports in ways that the market right now, like Grand Theft Auto is the highest grossing game of all time. It dwarfs the profitability of like the entire movie industry. That Grand Theft Auto is going to be dwarfed in the next 10 years by the next virtual world esports game.
Okay. Well, let's hope they don't take all the Grand Theft Auto things seriously. Go ahead.
Can I say something? Look, I just want to go back to kind of what we were talking about a minute ago before we got into talking about haircuts, which Nick Diamandi also has great hair. Nick, can you show us your hair? You could look at that hair. Look at that hair. Wow. Sometimes a man who wears a hat on screen has incredible hair. Sometimes he's DZ. But anyways,
no. It's shaved. It's high and tight. Okay, you can see my hair. We're not going to reveal it now, but it's high and tight.
Yeah,
okay, that's why. Yeah, we know why.
Good. If we get 10,000 likes, we'll do a DZ head reveal, not hair, but
all right.
But here's what I would say though, like on a serious note, which is if you're watching what's going on in the world right now with the pandemic and the rise of the pandemic again with the 99.9% survival rate, and they're telling people not to go anywhere again and all this stuff.
There goes the channel.
It's not that. I gotta be careful. It's not that people. It's not that people want to go to virtual concerts, but if we continue this way in this slippery slope, where every single sickness that exists now, we'll have to come up with some reason why people can't go places, then we may have a whole generation who grows up with it without concerts. This may not be an optional thing to where we're saying like, hey, you guys know what? Let's go to a VR concert instead of a real concert. I'm concerned that people might not have the choice. And so I think that's something to consider during all this as well. It may not be what we like. It may be what we're allowed to do.
All right. Well, let's end it with this right here. Just bring it back to gaming real quick. Hold on. Someone in chat said Juan Valdezi. Okay, look. I don't have a donkey or a mule, but I do like Colombian coffee. Not as much as Justin Williams. All right, so some of the top gainers of last month have been some of these gaming tokens. Axie Infinity is up 60% in the last 7 days. Crazy, previous weeks before that. Guild Games up 284% in the last week. These gaming tokens, they've been exploding recently. We've seen it with the NFT gaming space, all these gaming tokens. It seems like if you have anything to do with gaming in crypto last month, it's just been totally insane for you. Triple, quadruple, quintuple, 10x. So we've seen it all. So I'm going to end it with you, MacandCheeasy. Can the esports, do you think this is ever going to eclipse like real sports as far as interest goes? Or is this just, is this all this crypto sport, and all this crypto gaming? Is this just a fad, or is this here to stay, you think? Is the bubble going to pop?
I think this is here to I think the crypto gaming is here to stay, and there's a couple of reasons for this. So the NFT market booming, and this has led to the gaming market booming. There is, as you mentioned, there is a very large overlap between the gaming world and the crypto world. Even in crypto alone, if you look no further than Vitalik, why did he create Ethereum? He created it because he was mad that his World of Warcraft spell got pretty much nerfed by Blizzard. That's why he created. So it has this gaming ethos in the actual crypto realm. So now, as crypto's growing and the NFT market specifically, I think people right now are super excited about NFTs because they could potentially make money. But the gaming, this e-gaming where you can tie in making money with playing a game where you can actually have alpha and you can actually be better than somebody, is something that people across the globe will be interested. And the thing with professional sports is it's location agnostic, or it's location dependent rather. So you have to be in that country, in that time zone, wherever that is. So that restricts the amount of people that can truly be interested in this game. Now go to e-gaming. It is entirely location agnostic. You can play anybody, anywhere, any time of the day, and anybody can play it. So the amount of size and the general population that can truly adopt esports is so much larger than that of professional sports. So I think that's the trend that we're going in. And if there's anything that we learned during COVID and the pandemic, people can sit behind screens for years on end. They like gambling. They like trying to make money. And they like playing video games. And esports is all of this. And it's an exciting thing that we're going to see growing. I personally, as a college athlete, I wish that the professional in-person sports would stay and be here to stay, but I think esports is eventually going to overtake it.
All right, I had no idea Ethereum started with such a nerdy background with the World of Warcraft, but when you look at a picture of Butterin, it makes sense. It tracks. It definitely makes sense there. But that's all we got time for today. Looks like MacandCheeasy, you are the winner. You etched it right there. You stole it from Nick down there at the end. Never cross an Italian. Better be careful. And so we're going to let you go ahead and end it. Give you about 30 seconds. Give us some parting thoughts.
Yep. So as we're seeing a bunch of things going on with the world, I think one of the things that has to go on with why crypto is so strong is because of the community aspect of it. And that's the beauty of crypto. It's about being part of this community that is so new compared to everything else. So when you're joining into crypto, you're truly getting part of this community. And this is what, whether you're Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, we're all part of a small portion that's trying to grow this industry. I don't think it's a zero-sum game. And I think part of that is learning and teaching people. And that is what the incubator's about. My shirt is, we're getting it, we're throwing it out, but that's what the incubator is all about. So it's all about learning. So let's keep growing that community.
I thought you were going to show a Kraft cheese logo. I didn't know where you're going to go with that. All right,
I
that's
wish
all we
I
got
did.
time for today.
I had to throw on this. I had to throw on this Hawaiian shirt for the theme today.
Yeah, and Jebb competing with Ben with the shirt game. Look, you got some competition.
Yeah,
that's all we got time for.
I have better floral than Ben.
That BitSquad, we're gonna have to end it there. That's all we got for ATB. Easy out.
What the?